This is Kimberly Reuter, business advisor and supply chain expert. I almost forgot who I was. It's Monday and it's early my time, so things are shaky. But there's been something that's really been on my mind like all weekend. And there's like 3 or 4 things, but we're going to start with this one because it's been the heaviest. And I've been thinking about this a lot, and it's been very present for me recently. And I think this is under leadership in life, if we're going to categorize it, because it's almost the opposite of what I talk about with supply chain. But it's this. So when I started this podcast, I think I mentioned to everyone that I tried to do this for a few years. Partnered with people, hired a production company, a variety of podcasting experiences, and they didn't work out. A lot of it, in hindsight, looking back, was because I was partnered with the wrong people. People had other agendas. And I don't mean to say that all the people that have worked with a podcast have been like this. Supply Chain Now has been an amazing podcast and an amazing experience. But we also have 2 different voices and 2 different approaches. So a lot of why my podcasts weren't working was because, as I talk about a lot, authenticity. They weren't authentic, so they didn't feel good when I did them, and if they didn't feel good when I did them, they felt like work. And if it felt like work, I didn't want to do it because it should be something that's creative. And I feel like if I don't feel good about it, it won't come through in the podcast, and you won't feel good. So it took a while. And so part of this podcast, when I started it, this podcast, The Morning Mood, I very intentionally did some things. One, I didn't tell anybody about it. Like, I didn't do this big ramp up and call my friends and get this sort of false sense of security with it. I just said, fuck it, I'm doing it. I didn't write out a whole bunch of scripts. I didn't write out 52 different ideas, which I still have those and we'll still talk about those. But I didn't do any of that. I didn't spend a whole bunch of time on branding and my color and what I wanted to look like and blah, 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 blah. I just sat down one day and I said, you know what? I have to do this. I have to do this. This has to come out of my body. I don't know what it is, but I have to do this podcast. And I can't wait anymore. I can't wait for it to be perfect. I can't wait to find the right partner. I can't wait to do that. I can't wait. The waiting was over. It had to happen. So when I jumped into the podcast with that sense of adventure, that sense of exploration, that sense of, I don't know what this is, but I got to do it kind of mindset, it changed. Suddenly, something that took hours to produce, to come up with, to make it happen, took 20 minutes. The fear of not having enough to talk about went away in about 2 weeks. The fear of being able to fill 20 minutes every day went away. Because this is what changed. I had no expectations. All I know is I have to record a podcast. Whether 1 million, 100 million people listen to this, I have no idea. I really don't. And the other thing I did on the other end is I didn't put a lot of guardrails around this. I kept it open. I talk a lot about the open mind in leadership. The higher you go, the less you know. And I applied it to this. Just open-ended. Just open-ended. I don't know where it's going. I don't know who my guests are going to be. I don't know how long this is going to go. We're going to try to make it to 100. That's the goal. But by leaving it open and by not predetermining things, by not putting hard restrictions on stuff, by just Focusing on the North Star, right? I talk about the North Star. If I haven't talked about that yet, I need to talk about the North Star. Focusing on the North Star, which is produce a podcast that is authentic, it is honest, and it is about supply chain, leadership, and life. That's the North Star. Who comes on the podcast, how we get them on the podcast, how many people come on the podcast, what we talk about, what they talk about, how often will they come? I have no idea. And that's the most beautiful thing about this, is not knowing, is the constant sense of exploration and adventure. And by keeping this open, I've allowed myself and my guests, and hopefully my audience, to experience something unique. In fact, that's the feedback I've been getting, is that your podcast is so unique because it's not predetermined. I don't have an agenda, except that I want to share with you everything that I've learned so that hopefully you will learn some things and you can have a more successful and friction-free life, if that's possible. And I want to share with you what other people I know who are really smart, what they've learned, because they're freaking brilliant too. And they've learned a lot. I also want to bring some of the history that has not been captured on early e-commerce development. As someone reminded me the other day, there was no social media back then, so nobody really captured it. But that is the overarching, and those are the broad guide rails for this podcast. Everything else has happened as it's happened. I have somebody on the podcast who I really link with. We connect. We have an interesting topic that we want to explore that becomes a mini series within the episode. I'm working on a couple of those. I meet an interesting person who has a lot of deep expertise in one thing that I think would be interesting to my audience. We start bringing them back on a regular basis. But all of this is something that was never predetermined, was never set in stone. The podcast from the very beginning was Monday through Friday, 20 minutes, supply chain leadership in life. That was the goal. The rest of this beautifulness that's happening, the community that's building around this podcast, was totally unexpected. And it's amazing. But keeping it open-ended, staying open, not having my ego get in the way. In fact, I check my ego constantly. I know when my ego is acting up when I start pushing really hard. You got to do this. You got to do that. You got to do this. Oh, why isn't this person getting back to you? Why isn't this happening? You got to line this up, blah, blah, blah. When all that starts, that's when the ego is on it. And that's when I know that I need to lay back. I need to sit back. I need to chill. So these are the things that I thought about, I think about, that I consciously manage as part of this podcast. It's staying open, not having a predefined expectation on what this is going to be. And when you start to apply that in relationship stuff, they call it detachment. Also in life, Zen philosophy, everything, we have this sense, it's called detachment. And when you can detach from the expected outcome, from the entitlement, from any expectation, it becomes a more real experience. It becomes more authentic. Because when you're moving through that space, and I'm not saying don't have goals, because I've talked to people about this before, and they're like, oh, okay, well, I'm not going to have goals anymore because you just said I need to be detached and not have expectations. That's not what I'm saying. It is important to have goals. Without goals, you won't go anywhere. But how you get there may be very different from what you expect. So when I was very young, when I was graduating high school, I knew that I was going to be a corporate burnout. I did. I don't know. You know how people, when they're like 18, 20, they're like, I'm going to be a fireman, I'm going to be a truck driver, I'm going to write code, I'm going to be an executive, I'm going to be a finance person, blah, blah, blah. I knew that I was going to be a corporate burnout. I didn't know what I was going to be burnt out from, But I knew that I was gonna live in a big city, and I knew that I was gonna have a big corporate job, and I knew that by 40, and when you're, like, 20, 40 is like, "Are we getting Social Security checks yet?" Because that's how you think about 40 when you're 20. Like, that's just ancient. But I knew that, like, around 40, I was gonna be done. So I wasn't far off, I'm gonna be honest. At 45, I retired from corporate. I would say I burned out long before then, but that's when I actually retired. So I wasn't that far off. But we have that open mind then, right? We're open, we don't know what we wanna do, we have some theory. We don't know exactly how we're gonna get there, right? But we know that's where we wanna go. So you do have to have goals, and you do need to work towards those goals, but how we get there isn't always what we expect, right? I did not expect that I was gonna move to the West Coast. I never in my wildest dreams would have thought that I would have tech patents, that I would design technology, that I would actually know how to write code, HTML code. Don't anybody get too excited about that. Peggy, we're having you on. You taught me how to write that. But I didn't expect that's how I would get here, that I would go to the West Coast and come back and all these things would happen. When we go on adventures, when we go places where people like to travel because it's unexpected, we don't know what's going to happen. But when we get so caught in that to be successful or whatever it is that you are attached to, the car, the house, the money, the people, the lifestyle, the image, when you attach yourself to something outside of yourself, it is very hard for you to be present. It's very hard for you to be in the moment. It's very hard for you to appreciate the moment. It's very hard for you to just be part of life because you're so attached to something out there in the future, or many people, it's in the past. They're attached to the past. So letting go, letting it flow. This podcast has been my exercise, my daily exercise, and letting go. Yep. No hair and makeup. That's why. Letting go. Let it be messy. And in this mess of a podcast, because people are like, do you have a calendar? How are you scheduling your episodes? How do we promote this? You know what? I am just talking and produce, talking and produce, talking and produce because I'm in the moment. And by being this, doing this, allowing for this space to happen, doing this daily exercise and letting go has allowed so much to flow back to me. The people who have, I can't talk enough about the people who have reached out. I cannot tell you how shocked, surprised, elated, honored at all of the people who have reached out. And we're in like month 1, right? To say, oh my God, I love the messy. I love it. Do it. It's awesome. It's unique. Please keep speaking. We need to hear this. Your knowledge, we need to know. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. Has been amazing. And thank you for all of you who did that, who have reached out. And please keep doing it because I need the encouragement. But back to what I was saying, by letting go, allowing this to just happen, has allowed all of that good energy and love to flow back. It has allowed me to connect with people on a different level that I never connected with before. People that I've worked with, suddenly, I know deeply personal things about them. Odd. Known these people for decades. So let it go. Open-ended. Let no decision made before it's time. I don't need to decide if this podcast is going to be 100 or 101 right now. My goal is to do 100. My goal is to be honest. My goal is to be authentic. And my goal is to drop some knowledge in some nuggets that hopefully you can pick up and learn. That's it. The rest, who, how, what we talk about, where we're going, it's an everyday decision. This is my everyday exercise and letting go. This is from a person who made all of her money, whose entire reputation is based on control. Yeah, it's crazy, right? I know. That's why I'm doing this. So if you're out there and your job is control, this is for you. This is why. As a compliance and supply chain person, I talk about this constantly. Preemptive control, preemptive control, preemptive control, preemptive control. Predictive, being out in front, knowing what's going to happen, being in control of every single movement of your cargo from vendor door to the customer and back, control, data, monitoring, management, knowing what's going on, measuring to the hay penny. That has been my life. Regulations, laws, can and cannot. Control. My entire career, and mostly kind of my life, I'm going to be honest with you, has been about control. This podcast is about no control, no filters, no expectations, just mess. Just mess happening, evolving, living, growing right here in front of our eyes. It changes every day. And I intentionally made you part of the journey, so you can see how it's done. That's why. None of this is out of laziness. None of this is out of lack of planning. Trust me. All of this is about letting go and letting life. So to all my little control freaks out there, you know who you are. Try it. Just try it today. Just let go. Have the special at lunch. Let somebody else order for you. Let somebody merge in front of you. Just do something small that you don't control. See how it feels. All right. That's me for today. Have a great day, and we'll talk tomorrow.